Hello, folks. Thanks for tuning in. I'm reading an article off the Daily Caller. The columnist, the media reporter is Liam Clancy. Black Lives Matter. Protesters attack St. Louis mayor's house, hurl bricks at police. Black Lives Matter protesters converged upon St. Louis Mayor Lydia Crewson's house. I think it's Lyda. It's spelled Lyda. Lyda. I'll just call it Lyda Crewson's house, rolling rocks and breaking windows Friday night. Law enforcement officers dispersed that crowd with pepper spray and tear gas after declaring the gathering an unlawful assembly and made at least one arrest. Police in riot gear then deployed tear gas to force the protesters away from the scene of vandalism. However, the violence continued. 3 police officers were struck with bricks and seriously injured. Earlier in the day, protesters also attacked police with rocks and other projectiles. Police reported 13 arrests were made and 4 officers suffered minor injuries. Later that night, demonstrators burned American flags. Protesters also harassed and threw water bottles at a local television reporter. The protest came after Jason Stockley, a white police officer, was found not guilty for guilty of murder for shooting Anthony Lamar Smith, a black male. Let me just, if you're not familiar with the situation, let me explain it. So we had a police officer pursuing a high-speed chase. When the vehicle finally pulled over or was forced to stop, Anthony Lamar Smith, the driver, was shot 5 times. The officer, Jason Stockley, claimed that Lamar reached across his car and was grabbing something. That's why he shot him 5 times. During the investigation, while the vehicle was still on the road and the body was being examined and whatnot, the crime scene was being examined. It was reported by onlookers with cell phone footage that the officer who did the shooting walked back and forth to the car approximately 5 times. They also claimed that he placed something into the car. When the gun finally came out and the DNA test came back, the victim, Anthony Lamar Smith's DNA was nowhere on that gun. No fingerprints, no nothing. However, DNA from Jason Stockley, the police officer, was on the gun. To me, that's pretty incriminating evidence against the officer. I wasn't there. I didn't see the evidence. But just from what I'm hearing, it don't sound right. First of all, when you're examining a crime scene, you pull away all people who had any activity in this situation. You pull them away. You create as sterile as possible crime scene. You get everybody away. The people who were involved, they don't go back and forth to the vehicle. What I'm trying to say, you get them out. They start writing their reports. You start questioning them as well, but you don't let them going back and forth in and out of the crime scene as though they were investigators also. It just doesn't seem right. What I guess I'm trying to say in this video is I can understand that a lot of the local people are up in arms about this and very angry about this. And I'm going to admit this. It's refreshing to see that they take it out on the people that have offended them. For example, they took it out on this mayor's house. What I'm trying to say is, in all the past shootings, regardless of whether the officer was guilty or not, the communities always seem to burn down their own community, to vandalize and destroy their surrounding neighborhoods. and never seem to go after the folks who've done them wrong. Now, I'm not advocating going out and destroying government offices. But what I am saying is you got to stop destroying your own community. And yes, go after the people who've done you wrong directly. In many of those communities, supermarkets have permanently closed down and moved out of those communities. In those communities now, people have to take long drives from and to the grocery store in order to get food. Literally have to go to different towns to get food because Walmarts and the Safeways and the Fry's and the Publix have pulled out of those communities and will not return. When you go to work each and every morning, you do a good job. You get there at 8 o'clock, let's say that's your time to arrive, and let's just say you go home at 5, and you do a good job. Why? Well, we can say that, yes, you have pride in your work, and you're just a good worker, and you're a good person. There's no doubt about that. But the other half of the variable is fear and respect. You fear getting fired. You need your job. You respect your boss because he has that power over you. What I'm trying to say is, if government knows you're dumb, docile, and just dumbed down, they're going to walk all over you. They're going to go into business for themselves, and you'll be nothing more than the taxpayer that funds their business. I guess what needs to be said is government needs to, just like you when you go to work, government needs to fear and respect the community it's supporting. Now, if you go and burn down your own community every time the government does something wrong, government's just going to shrug its shoulders and giggle. But if they do you wrong and you come after them, they'll think twice about doing something wrong again, out of that fear, out of that respect. Government always says they work for the people. But I'm sorry, over the course of the last 25 years, that role has reversed. We seem to work for the government. And they get richer and richer and buy more homes and more homes in the Hamptons and Learjets, and I can go on and on and on about their lavish lifestyles on the backs of the taxpayers. We now work for them. I do believe it's time that we reverse that role yet again and get them to be working for us. And the only way we're going to accomplish that is through fear and respect. I'm sorry to say it. I'm not advocating now to go out and burn down freaking anything. I'm just saying that they need to know when they do something wrong that they will be the ones held accountable. That's all. That's all I'm trying to say. You folks have a great day, and I hope this video made some kind of sense. Take care.